All right, it's December. It's pre-storm blizzard coming up. We were lucky in 2019-2020 snow season that we didn't have any snow. However, we're not going to get lucky for the 2020-2021 something. So in preparation for the storm event, we're actually down in the Department of Public Works garage, and I'm with here the foreman of the garage, Neil. And Neil and his crew have been busy getting the vehicles in preparation for the storm event. That's going to happen Wednesday and Thursday. So Neil, well, you might explain a little bit about the process when we know that there's a major storm event coming. What happens? What does the garage personnel do to get things prepped?
Okay, we install all the sanders that are pretty much done. Like the first storm of the year is always tough because a lot of stuff is not prepped, you know. So we're hard at work getting all the plows and sanders working. So we're 90% ready for this storm, but it is the first storm, which is always a tough one.
Yeah. Now, the plow blades that are on these pickup trucks right here, the metal, now are those rubberized plow blades or metal on the bottom?
Some have rubber. Most of the small trucks are all steel blades.
Okay.
A lot of the bigger trucks do have rubber blades or poly blades on them.
Okay.
So it's a little easier on the guys.
Now, some of the larger truck do they have angle blades where they can go either, or are they just standard in one position?
Yes, most of the garbage trucks are just standard angle. They do most of the larger roads, and the tandems and the triaxles, they do have angle plows, which are a little more maneuverable on the side streets.
So what the personnel here in the garage are doing right now, they're checking out the batteries to make sure that the new wiper blades if necessary, and anything mechanical that could possibly go wrong, because what happens is if something breaks down on the road during a major snow event, then that means Neil, if they can't bring it into the garage, then Neil has to go out or send somebody out there to fix it on the road, which means it's less time on the road to plow your street. Now, how wide is the pickup trucks and the mason bodies? How wide are the
you got everywhere from 8 foot, 8.5 foot, and most of the mason body trucks are 9 foot.
9 foot.
Right.
And what about the big tandems and the big?
A lot of the garbage trucks are 11 foots,
okay.
And the power angles are usually around it, and the 10 tons are usually around 10 foot.
Yeah. So that's because the larger the blade on it, it means the less times you have to make a pass to get it, because remember, folks out there, it may take several passes to get it curb to curb, and we typically don't go curb to curb until after all the snow is down, because we don't want to have to plow over the same real estate more than necessary.
Right. And mostly on the main roads, you're going to have tandem garbage trucks, one behind the other, as one.
Yeah, a conga line, as
right.
everybody says. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to go outside and take a quick look at the 10-ton and the large tandem truck out there, and maybe Neil can jump up and explain very quickly what the truck's all about. So we're going to head outside.
Okay, here we have all the hydraulic controls for the plows. We got power angle up and down. This is the sander control, which can control the auger and the spinner. And the auger is what puts the salt into the spinner, which spins it onto the road. And over here we have calcium tanks, which as it rotates, calcium spreads on there to give it, when it's really cold out. The calcium works a lot better.
So obviously on the side is the saddlebags for the liquid calcium that Neil was just explaining, that gets spread on the salt when it comes out. So what we're going to do later, we're going to show you how we're making the brine system and where the calcium tank is when it's filled up. So that's critical, because that actually helps lay the salt down and melt some of it. But it doesn't work below 20 plus degrees. That's an issue out there. So so right now we're going to go across the yard and take a look at some of the other trucks, on the other smaller trucks over there. So let's go over to. They're loaded with salt right now, and we keep them in the heated garages here, so when they have to go out, because you can't leave them outside in the cold weather loaded with salt, because then they'll have a hard time spreading the salt. So These are the big vehicles typically that are on the main roads like Centennial Avenue, North Randolphville Road, William Street. You know, the major arterial roads where we have a conga line of about 5 to 6 trucks. These are all angle blades, as you can see right here. So depending upon what side of the street they're on, they have to re-angle it, and that's a big deal. But you know, you got to remember when one of the drivers is, if they're on the main roads plowing there, and you're up in that top seat, you know, these plow blades normally stay about 1 inch or 2 off the roadway, because you don't want to ever hit a manhole cover, you know, knock it out, because it could do serious damage to the truck, but more importantly is it puts the driver in harm's way.
That's why we like to use a lot of the rubber blades, because high manholes, they will skip over.
Yeah, not every manhole is set correctly or should be correctly.
Right.
When you have 400 plus miles of roadway, there's always going to be a glitch, because you know, when somebody's traveling at 15, 20 miles an hour and you hit something that's still, you know, or it may pop the manhole cover off, and then we're going to have to call in. We have to send the sewer division out and go put it back on, which takes personnel off of it. So I'm with here Mike Mosier, who's one of our foremen here down at DPW. Mike, you want to explain the brine system? He's going to explain the brine system here.
We apply brine on the roads as a pre-treatment for instead of salt. It's more economical and environmentally friendly. You can do much more coverage with brine than you can with salt per ton. What happens is, in this system, we load this vessel right here with salt. From inside you control it, and the water in here, it mixes with the salt to a solution of 23%, and then it's pumped into that system, and it's stored in the 2 tanks over here, giving us a total of about 11,000 gallons of brine storage. There's another tank that we can put an additive in, such as beet juice or magnesium chloride, depending on whether the temperature is going to be extremely low, or different types of scenarios that come up with storms.
And there's larger communities now are moving to have their own systems. We decided to have our own system here because we're a large enough town that we should have our own system. But you know, like a lot of the smaller communities throughout, let's say Middlesex County or central New Jersey, they would have one setup for like 6 or 7 towns, because this is a very involved system. So we'll take you on the inside of the building right here. Okay.
What happens is, in the computer system, you just come in, you set the batch size that you want, 500 gallons, 1,000 gallons, depending on what you're making. And you just hit start, is basically it. It's programmed in here to read the salinity. We have it set between 22 and 23.3%, and it starts making it. It shows you where it's going, whether it's recirculating in the system, whether it's pumping it into storage because it's met the salinity level, and or whether it's just recirculating or adding fresh water. What we do like with this system is, I can go in here, I can go to the data log, and the truck fills. I can tell you that at 10:17, truck number 155 put 49 gallons in. That's our little gator that we do sidewalks with. Truck 76 at 9:11 put 797 gallons in. So what it gives us the advantage of, I can then go, this truck did 85 lane miles of roadway with this amount of gallons. That way we know we're putting it down at the proper rate of brine per lane mile. So it gives us a feature so we can track our costs. This setup right here is basically what makes it for the system. The system behind you, over on this side of the room, is what pumps it into the trucks. So there's a setup on the outside of the building. The truck pulls up, hooks up, and enters his truck number, his gallons that he wants, and the product. It be a brine or a mix of something else, and then he just starts filling the truck from there. It's a very simple system that is done, and that's about it.
up until 10 years ago, this was the primary way we would move trucks around, so we knew where they were. But now you have technology, you have GPS.
It's still excellent, especially once we start to move guys later in
Yeah.
the storm as sections get done.
Yeah.
We'll know, okay, we can pull people out of Arbor, shift them over to Possumtown to help
Yep.
the contractor, or take the contractors and send them into cul-de-sacs all over
Yeah.
town.
Yeah.
It's a really good method to just kind of keep track of our assets in addition to the GPS and everything like that. So this is just an example of playback. You can see where
That's where Joe Burris has been.
this is truck 69.
This is the gentleman that was just down there that you saw open up. So everything in the red
Is
you-
where he's been.
is where he's been today, putting brine down.
Yeah, so down through Pettiole, Hose Lane, up Possumtown Road, Birch Run, back around, down Washington, etc. We have 2 other brine trucks out as well,
Yeah.
and so if we overlay them, that should be a pretty complete picture of where we've been brining. We hope to have most of your primary and even secondary roads brined tomorrow.
Yeah.
Um,
And then if we can, we go into some of the other smaller collector streets and do them. We have a contract with Weatherworks, correct me if I'm wrong?
yes, weather work.
And we get every 6 to 8 hours we get updates of weather specific for Piscataway,
Okay.
and that's what they're doing. They're doing it so normally 2 o'clock in the afternoon and right before we go to bed, and then and overnight, we'll get weather alerts that are specifically geared towards Piscataway. So as of right now, they're
I
projecting.
don't know why that's not coming up, Paige.
They're projecting 40% chance of 8 inches, 30% 12 inches, 10% 12 to 14%.
Time frame.
So, and they're looking at the timeline that when this is, they'll tell you when it's going to start. So right here. So as the storm's going along, we'll get these updates that we could kind of know how we can do the staffing levels. So like if the major storm has passed or is about to pass within, say, in the last half hour, an hour, then we'll have deploy our assets to start going curb to curb. To get, where people could see the curb line. So that's why these weather alerts are helpful for us, because then we know what
Oh,
time.
you're playing the track. Don't play track.
We kind of know what time
Just
everything's
keep
going to
track.
end, because that's when we want to start going curb to curb. So,
Yeah.
because normally it takes us around 12 to 14 hours to go curb to curb if we start township wide, depending upon how
It
much.
depends on the
And
snowfall.
but here's the thing: it depends
can't
upon the
close
amount of
out.
snowfall,
That's it.
and given the fact that this is supposed to be heavy snow, which you almost have to double the amount of time frame, because the trucks aren't going to be able to move heavy snow as quickly as they would with powder. So, and that's why we're concerned about the weight of the snow, because of the down power lines and potential down power lines and trees.
Yeah.
So. Hi, Piscataway residents. This is your mayor, Brian Waller, and it is the 2020-2021 snow season commencing on Wednesday. We're just asking everybody to please stay safe out there during this snow event. I know we didn't have too much snow last year. However, I know there's a lot of old-time pros there that know what snow events are all about. We're asking people, please do not leave your cars on the street, because we don't want to have the police department issuing summonses out there for cars parked on the street. If you're going to shovel your driveway, if you're looking out towards your street, shovel to the right, because when the plows come on, we don't want you having to reshovel something out. And also, more importantly, is that if you have a fire hydrant near your house, if you could kindly, on behalf of the fire companies, to shovel out the fire hydrants out there so they don't have to do it in an emergency. If you don't, during the height of the storm, which is going to happen Wednesday night, Thursday morning, if you don't have to be on the road, just stay off, because it does create problems to the heavy duty plows that are on the road, depending upon the visibility. And we're hoping that we don't get a lot of the wind at this event, as well as the heavy snow, because that could present other challenges for the Public Works Department with potential down trees or down power lines, which would further inhibit getting the roads cleared out expeditiously. So just be patient. If you're special, have an individual that needs certain services out there, medical attention, please contact our OEM. to make sure that you're on our list so we know in the event of an emergency. And if you do have a relative that does have an emergency within your home, rest assured that all the plows will be redirected to wherever that is, the police department or fire company's going. That is never an issue. We've always dealt with that in the past. So everybody stay safe, stay warm, and happy holidays. And it looks like we will have a white Christmas holiday season.